Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. Let's talk about tanks!
There have been many tanks in the GIJoe line, ranging from the absurd, seriously, a glass canopy, to the realistic. From the small to the extremely large, though I admit I'm stretching the definition of tank well beyond breaking point here. And today's story deals with the first tank the Joes ever got, the Mobat.
So let's take a look at... thanks for the memories.
Disclaimer, pun provided by Marvel Comics. Half the Battle accepts no responsibility for said pun or reactions to said pun. Disclaimer void where prohibited. The cover depicts the tank apparently engaged in combat with Cobra troopers in Central Park. While this isn't 100% exactly what happens in the comic, it's close enough. The comic itself opens inside the GIJoe headquarters, where a few of the Joes are showing off the Mobat, or Multi-Ordnance Battle Tank, to Scarlet. Scarlet is basically there to have a steaming pile of exposition dumped on her regarding the tank, so the reader will know what it can do later on. Seriously, just look at this wall of text.
It would have been easy for them to go the cliché route and have Scarlet be all, "Tee-hee, I'm a girl, I don't understand anything about tanks." But fortunately, they went a completely different route here.
Scarlet isn't impressed with all the boasting about the tank and only sees it as a big tool. A big useful tool for fighting the enemy. I'll give you the cliff notes of the exposition dump. 1. The tank can stay underwater for short periods of time. 2. It has a loudspeaker system that can produce very loud sounds. 3. It has a lot of technical gizmos not found in most tanks. Since the army brass is worried this expensive toy, no pun intended, could be a valuable target for, say, an international terrorist organization, General Flagg, the Joe's commander, has decided to prove to them it looks just like any ordinary tank by having the Joes drive it right under their noses in the New York Armed Forces Day parade.
And nothing could possibly go wrong.
To make sure nothing could go wrong, General Flagg has told nobody about this plan. Absolutely nobody. Foolproof! Except he sends one memo by courier to another general. So, of course, it gets intercepted by an X-ray machine rigged by Cobra, so they get a perfect picture of the memo? Do X-rays work that way? Anyway, Cobra vows to strike during the parade. On the day itself, General Flagg is so excited the Mobat is about to show up, he starts talking to himself.
In front of the people he's trying to fool.
Dude, you suck at this whole covert thing. He quickly deflects, claiming he's excited to see the Springfield marching band. The others comment that, well, there are a ton of Springfields in the country, while one of them goes on a total non sequitur. Did I ever tell you about the time I almost choked to death on some Chinese food? If it wasn't for the Heimlich maneuver, I wouldn't be here.
And knowing is half the battle.
GIJoe! That's odd to just throw in there. It doesn't come up later either. I guess they wanted the kids reading this to go ask their parents what the Heimlich maneuver is, and hopefully they could teach them. But wouldn't it have been easier to just put it in the issue itself?
Anyway, we find a tank in between the marching band and a float commemorating the Nautilus arriving at the North Pole. As an aside, the USS Nautilus was the world's first nuclear-powered submarine and the first to complete a submerged transit to the North Pole. Hey, quite surprising what they'll throw into a Joe comic so you can learn something, huh?
And knowing is half the battle.
GIJoe!
Steeler, that's the tank commander, is spending his time well. He's keeping abreast of the rearguard situation.
Pervert.
They get stuck in traffic and the marching band puts on a show. They're gonna make the tank disappear. For realsies! As they remove the tank from view, the Nautilus float opens up.
It's a trap!
Ugh, and I swore I'd never use that clip. Before they get captured, they floor it and drive the tank straight into New York traffic. Their efforts are greeted with that New York hospitality that is so well known. Yeah, by the way, I can't do a New York accent, so I'm not even gonna try. We've got to get through here! You can kiss my hubcaps, chump! You got a license to drive that big iron trolley through the streets? You tell 'em, Roscoe. These turkeys put on a uniform and think they can get away with anything.
Wait, so does everybody in New York know each other? Because I'm pretty sure that's Boston.
Where everybody knows your name.
They soon realize, hey, we don't have to drive on the road, we can drive on the sidewalk.
In a tank.
Yeah, I was gonna call bullcrap on that one, as I'm used to small sidewalks. But apparently, the width of the sidewalks in Manhattan exceeds 10 feet, while the M551 Sheridan, the tank they based a Mobat on, is less than 10 feet wide. So it's possible, but I wouldn't recommend it. They careen down the sidewalk, and I swear, if they had a fruit stand, I'm ending this review right now. But they manage to escape their pursuers, and Cobra Commander reminds his troops that they'd better hurry up and find them again, since even in New York City, a group of heavily armed marching band members is gonna draw attention. The Joes find a construction site where they can hide, and they are happy to wait there till it all blows over. But then they recall seeing one of the Cobras use a short-range radio to contact Cobra Commander. This means he must be close by. Seeing what a unique opportunity this is to finally capture that snake, they decide on a daring plan. Even though they aren't armed, and the tank doesn't have any live ammo.
Still, they're in a freaking tank. I thought they could, run the bad guys over.
While the Joes are on the move, the brass is getting impatient as they were promised a shiny tank. Cobra Commander picks up the tank's location, Central Park, and sends his troops to capture it. But once the snakes arrive at Central Park, all they find is a couple of jocks from City High in a boat. City High?
Ah, these jacks probably play for the City High Generics. It's a team that's done average this year.
The jocks taunt the marching band. Only nerds would join a stupid marching band. Yes, taunt the obviously heavily armed marching band. What the hell is wrong with you? Just then, the Mobat rises from the water to the shock of everybody. The Cobras start to flee, but Cobra Commander reminds them that the thing doesn't have any ammo, so they find their courage again. Only then, the tank fires its cannon. Steeler then tells them that this was only a warning shot, and the next one will turn them all into a lingering red mist.
Yeah, as an aside, they weren't allowed to say terms like "I'll kill you" in the comic. Maybe it was an edict from Hasbro, maybe it was from the comic book code, but anyway, they had to come up with creative alternatives like that one.
And knowing is
Oh no, doing that gag twice was more than enough. They march their prisoners back into the parade, to turn them over to General Flagg, I guess. But as they approach the reviewing stand, they pick up heavy electronic activity and conclude Cobra Commander must be hiding right under the noses of the brass. Literally. So their only course of action is, of course, to drive into the damn stand. Seriously? They couldn't have just surrounded it or something? In the confusion, General Flagg almost manages to capture Cobra Commander, but then he shoots him in the freaking head and escapes. Like in most comics and action movies, the bullet just grazed the temple though, so Flagg will be fine. Even though Flagg is an expert marksman with a pistol, he didn't try to take out Cobra Commander because there were too many civilians that could get hurt. And in hindsight, that's probably a good idea since we later learn the Commander's mask can deflect bullets. And so the comic ends with Cobra getting away. Again. What a shock. So that was issue 5. And I have to say, I liked this a lot. It was a fun story. Even if it was obviously to sell the new Mobat toy. And that's the only part I have a problem with. You see, all through the issue, we have the Joes inside the tank. That's only natural. But the actual toy can't hold any figures. The inside is taken up by the battery compartment. Yeah, this thing actually moved. And the only place to put a figure is in the gun turret. That's just false advertising. And that's all I have to say about it. But wait a minute. How the hell did the tank fire their cannon without any ammunition? Well, remember the speaker system? They cranked it up to 11 and popped a piece of bubble gum.
And so for years, Cobra Commander would cry out, "Damn you, gum!" Well, that's about all I've got time for, folks. I'll see you next week. Hey, and I got something special planned.
Thanks for the memory of rainy.
And your bollocks did up good, you did.
It would have been easy for them to go the cliché route and Scarlet something something Burt Ward. That's odd to just throw in there. I mean, it doesn't come up later. I guess they wanted the kids to go ask their parents to do something. Something. I mean, I guess they hoped that the kids would go ask their parents what the hell the Heimlich maneuver was, and hopefully they could teach them that. This is gonna be a long day. These jocks probably play for this. These jocks probably play for the city team Fanatics. Fanatics? For some reason, it may have been an edict from Hasbro, it may have been an edict from the comic book code, but you get certain... I have no idea where the end of that sentence went.